All set? Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to this press conference this afternoon. Just wanted to give you a little bit update on where we are and what we're planning. So today, as part of an ongoing effort to improve the Jackson County Detention Center, I'm pleased to announce the formation of a jail task force. This task force will be asked to examine the county's criminal justice system and make recommendations. The HOK study left no doubt that a substantial investment is needed to improve the safety and security of our facility. I want to make it clear that I'm not opposed to a new jail, but have yet to be convinced that we need a bigger jail. Before we make such a significant investment in taxpayer dollars, we must do the right thing the right way. To help this task force make its recommendations for short and long-term sustainability and the options that they will bring to us, members will analyze the following primary issues: current maintenance and staff costs, current and future capacity needs, regional cooperation, recidivism prevention measures, alternatives to incarceration, and new facility construction versus current facility renovation. My goal is to build on the success of the 2015 task force and allow elected officials and citizens to lead this effort, which will shape and move us forward. That is why it is important for me to include members of the 2015 task force. I'd like to take this opportunity now to introduce members of my task force, some of whom are here with us today. Co-Chair John Fierro, Mr. Alvin Brooks, Ms. Carol Coe. Karen Curls is not here today. State Representative Brandon Ellington, Ms. Lisa Pulaski, Judge John Torrance, and other members are our other co-chair Gail Holliday, Jean Peters Baker, Scott Burnett, Alicia Kennedy, Nikki Lee Donowa, Mike Schumacher, and Mike Sharp. An outside consultant will help oversee the work of the jail task force. In addition, I have asked Diana Turner, Deputy Director of Corrections, to be a facilitator and provide support. Before she steps to the podium for remarks, at this time I'd like to have one of our co-chairs, John Fierro, say a few words. John?
Thank you, Mr. Executive, and want to thank the members of the committee in advance. We have a very ambitious agenda ahead of us. The executive has given us 6 months to come back with the completion of our work, and so certainly will be a very open and transparent process that we will put forward. Wanted to just share why my interest in regards to the jail task force, and for me, and these are some of the comments that the executives share, you know, what is of utmost importance to me is the safety of our personnel and our detainees. In the first task force, we had an opportunity as part of our work to tour the facility. And I think all of you have read about the state of conditions. You know, we have some of our security officers who spend as much as 74 hours a week working there. I mean, that's more time that they're spending at that facility than in their own places, in their own homes. And so for them, as well as the detainees, we need to make sure that conditions are healthy, that they're safe, and that they have the latest amenities, whether it's technology, et cetera. And also in terms of my interest with regards to this task force, it is about the detainees as well. We need to make sure that we have proper support services for those individuals. What we learned in the first go-around is you had individuals suffering from mental illness that weren't receiving the proper care. We have to improve that. We can't put them back out into the community and not have the proper medication or therapeutic support. Also, a lot of our detainees are going to return to society, and we need to make sure that they have the job skills necessary to be productive members of our county, as well as the education, et cetera. You know, for me, our role as task force members is to, once again, to ensure that it is an open and transparent process. The county exec has asked us to convene community meetings, to share the findings by HOK, to seek input both on the short-term but long-term conditions of the detention center, and also that we have inclusive participation. The list of names that was read off by the executive is a formidable group of law enforcement, elected officials, and community leaders. And so for me, that excites me professionally to be able to work with all these individuals around a common goal. And the common goal is, how do we invest Jackson County dollars in a way are going to be effective for the long term? And finally, our work, it is my hope as we present that to Jackson County Executive Frank White, is that what we present is fact-driven. He has the authority to make the decision. In my mind, our job is to put together the best case and the best recommendation and allow him to make that decision. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Okay, thank you. Hello, I'm Diana Turner, Deputy Director of the Jackson County Department of Corrections. And first I want to thank County Executive Frank White for appointing me to this position and entrusting me with the care and facilitation of this task force. My duties in that role will be to provide information and data. Our co-chair, Mr. Fierro, talked about the importance of making fact-based decisions, and it's going to be my job and my role to help get the information to the task force that they need. I'll be procuring resources, getting those experts into this panel to make sure that we are engaging in a process that's going to get us to best practices in everything that we do in the jail and the services that we provide. It'll be my job to continue ongoing communication between the task force and the county executive. I will be providing the subject matter expert resource to this task force. I'm the one with the background in corrections, and so it's my responsibility to provide those insights as the person who works in the field. I have the privilege of seeing firsthand the county executive's commitment to increasing the safety and security of our facility, inmates, the public, and staff. And along that vein, in addition to Director Joe Piccinini, we have several of our staff here with us today, and I'd like to introduce them. Captain Isaac Johnston, Master Correctional Officer Michael Webb, Sergeant Sharice Hill with our training department. Thank you all for coming today. These folks exemplify the professionalism we have in our department and what the future of the Jackson County Department of Corrections looks like. So I just want to thank them for being here, and we want to thank you for all that you do, the long hours, the weekends, the holidays, the nights, and the time spent away from your family to make a better facility and take care of the people in our care. Thank you. I'm excited about the opportunity to work with such influential leaders in our community at a time of such positive change in the Department of Corrections. I know that working together, we will be able to make the tough decision for the betterment of our community. Thank you.
Well, some of the guidelines that we have for the task force is that the jail task force will have 6 months to conduct its analysis and will submit a report on its findings and recommendations. The first 30 days will include gathering community input, which is an essential part of this process. The public can submit their questions, concerns, ideas, and considerations to the jail task force by phone or by email. The second 30 days will consist of listening sessions so the community can engage in discussion with myself and the jail task force. Members will also get an in-depth review of previous studies that have been completed so that they'll have full knowledge of the situation. There's no denying that tough decisions will have to be made. There's no denying that moving forward first requires a holistic analysis of our community's detention facilities and criminal justice system. I want to again thank the members for agreeing to be a part of this task force. And with that, I'll open the floor for questions. Thank you.
You know, Frank, obviously in August, this audit came out and said this is a dire situation, needs addressed now. The HOK study comes out a couple jail, so why wait another 6 months to come out with another report and not have solutions that are needed today?
Well, this won't prevent us from moving forward with what we have to do with the detention center. Right now, we are proposing in our budget a bond for $16 million. That $16 million came from the prioritization of the HOK report. That's what they gave us. So we will have a 1 to 5 year plan as we move forward in the direction that the task force takes us.
What kind of a bond? How do you pay for it?
Well, right now, I believe we're paying this bond through. We won't have to go out. We think we've got it in. Just want to say something. Oh no, we have it in our budget to pay for it through our budget right now. Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to go to a vote for this?
No.
When the task force comes back with recommendations in May, do you expect pushback from the county legislature?
Well, I can't predict what the legislature's going to do. I can only do what I need to do. And, you know, I have responsibilities here for safety and security of the inmates and the correctional officers who work in the facility. So that's my main concern.
Frank, when did you come to the conclusion that you needed a new jail? Jackson County needs a new jail.
When did I come to the conclusion? Well, I think that the premise has always been there that we need a new jail. We just wanted to make sure we had enough study and enough background to lead us in the right direction. So I think before you can go out into the public and say we're going to build a new jail, we're going to raise the tax or whatever it might be to pay for this new jail, is first I think it's important to take it to the public, get their input, see how they feel about our current facility, see how they feel about incarceration in Jackson County. I think that is vital before you take that next step.
You were skeptical of the calls for a new jail.
I've never been skeptical.
Earlier this year, you were skeptical of those calls.
No.
At what point did
I think that I was never skeptical of a new jail. I was always been skeptical of how big a jail we need to build. The report simply states that most of those buildings are fair to poor, and the correctional officers who work there, they know how these facilities are. And so, but you know, I've never been against a new jail. I've always said, how big a jail do we need? I've always said that we need to study the process of incarceration. That would get us the number, because you have a lot of people pushing for a bigger jail. So what's that number? Is that number 1,000? Is that number 2,000, 3,000? So until you do the study, until you do the ground roots of the process of incarceration, you're not going to get to that number. What you don't want to do is build a new jail and add 500 beds to it, and if the process stays the same, then down the road, now you're dealing with the same thing, overcrowded and understaffed. And this is nothing new to Jackson County. These studies are being done all over the country, because all over the country in facilities that built the structure like ours, they all are facing the same problem, overcrowded, understaffed. So they're doing these studies in Oklahoma City, in Pueblo. They're doing these studies. And this is, before you make this decision to build a new jail, I think these studies are important to take it to the people and see what they think about it.
you're describing it as a task force for the criminal justice system. Most of this seems to be jail procedures. What part of the criminal justice system do you think?
Well, I don't know if you got what I've got, but I think, well, they're going to study alternatives to incarceration. They're going to look at all these. I mean, they're going to look at all the things that I outlined in my initial statement. Capacity needs. They're going to look at staffing costs, maintenance, regional cooperation, preventive measures for repeat offenders, new facility construction. They're going to look at it all.
Frank, I believe the figure you mentioned was 16 million for improvements. As part of that, I'm wondering, how much time will the 16 million buy us before we get to critical mass and actually have to have a new jail?
Well, according to HOK, they gave us this priority list, and they put a dollar value on this priority list, and it's designed to get us 1 to 5 years down the road.
Judge Torrance, what can be done to limit the number of folks going to jail, to keep them out of overcrowded times? Are there programs that we're not employing right now, or not employing enough, or should you?
Well, I think it's important.
Can you step up to the mic?
Yeah, sure. Gotcha.
I think it's important to remember there's a distinction between a county detention center and a state correctional system. The vast majority of people in the county jail are there awaiting trial, or they're awaiting probation violation hearings. I've always thought and I've said many times, the thing that we should be looking at as a county, of course I'm with the court, I don't have anything to do with the management, design, construction of jails, but it's obvious to me that a good pretrial supervision option, one where someone can be supervised in the community awaiting trial rather than sitting in jail for what could be 18, 20, 24 months, is probably the biggest bang for your buck. And in fact, that process is underway right now. There is an expansion of the house arrest program going on right now. It's just getting off the ground, and you know that's one thing to look at. But other than that, there's a lot of issues we're talking about here that really don't have all that much to do with the county jail, and are more related to how we've gotten where we're at. The state's absolute refusal to properly fund mental health services. I mean, this isn't a coincidence. People end up in jails, people end up in prisons because they don't have good mental health services. They don't have good treatment options. Jail becomes a place to put people that have physical, medical, and psychological problems. Those are the kinds of things that I think we need to be talking about. How much that can be addressed in a county jail setting versus the state correctional setting is an issue to be discussed down the road, I suppose. But I'm here to represent the court and to do what I can on behalf of the court to help keep this thing what I think should be on the right path in the right direction, and I'll say what I'll say when we get there.
One more question.
Brian, what about the city inmates that are over there right now? There's some discussion about possibly changing that arrangement with the city and the police department.
Well, that's one that we've been in discussions with. If you're not familiar with it, there was an agreement made by the previous county executive with the city to take municipal prisoners. And so that has put a strain on our facility. And so we've been in contact with Mike Schumacher and with Troy. They're aware of where we are. And really boils down to per diem. The per diem, I think it's somewhere around a little over $52 per inmate. We get very little from the state. The state is somewhere around $22 per inmate. So that's where the strain comes in. So we're talking to them about the future. We're talking about the possibility of building a new facility. We want to make sure that we work together on it because they don't have a jail anymore. So that conversation has to continue, and it's not one of those situations, I believe, that you need to just say, well, we're going to kick you out and that's it. I think we can do a better job of working together to try to get a better conclusion.
Have you asked the city for the increase in the per diem?
We've had discussions, yes.
And that's been going on for some time.
Right. It's been going on for about, I want to say 6 months probably.
Is there a deadline? Doesn't sound like you're getting there.
Well, you would think that, but we're getting someplace. I mean, that's just the way you have to work. I mean, you have to go and you can't. You gotta. We want to be good partners too. We don't want to go in and say you're just completely out. I'll give you sort of a timeline. Let's say we called over today and said we want to end the agreement with the county. So from today, it would be 12 months before that agreement will go away. And so that's always there, but we want to make sure that with the study that the task force is going to be doing, they are aware of that agreement, and we're in constant conversations with Troy and with Mike Schumacher about this agreement, so everybody's aware. So it's just a matter of if we get to that point, what's that number going to be per inmate? That's going to make a difference in keeping this contract with the city.